All right, welcome in 6:30, Friday, May 14th. Going to be a beautiful day today, so let's get out and make the most of it. COVID vaccine update. We're just shy of that 70% threshold. We're expected to hear some new news from the governor regarding the CDC's new guidelines that were updated yesterday. And I'm hearing from Richard Wabi at the AGC that we should have kind of more modifications to our COVID policy in the next 7 to 10 days as well. So some much needed restrictions, I think, are finally kind of coming, and we'll definitely tune everybody in as that information comes in. As you see, the active cases is really starting to really decrease in the last month, 60 days or so. We're really seeing our positive present positive day average now was about 2, at mid-March. Now we're down to 1%. So that's we're doing really well. The vaccine's going really well, and I think it's starting to finally run its course as we're at the kind of final laps of this thing. So just keep up the good work. Currently, the virus is not in our workforce. So again, the only way that it can get into our workforce is through social gatherings and stuff that we do over the weekend. So again, if you come in close contact with a known positive, just give me a call so we can kick in the proper protocols and just to prevent the spread inside our organization. This week's code of conduct is to work to VOSHA, OSHA, FRA, and ECI safety standards. So again, these are compliance regulations that we have to follow, but again, these regulations are set due to history of fatalities in the workplace. So it's very important that we follow these guidelines. And if you have any questions, contact me and I can help with any fall protection, excavation, caught in between, struck by electrical hazards that we have on our job sites. Again, the most important thing that we can do each day is to plan ahead to our work, try to identify our hazards on our sites, and put up proper controls on our project to work safe and sound each and every day. Again, remembering those unsafe acts and unsafe conditions, avoid accidents. So let's keep up the good work. We are at 162 days without a recordable injury. So again, our exposures are going up. It means that we really got to keep a good emphasis and not get complacent so we can continue this great days without a recordable injury day rate. So let's keep up the good work. And then with that said, Amy is with us this morning with PT360 to talk a little bit more on wellness series, but also on that injury prevention side of our program. So again, Amy, thanks for joining us this morning, and I just kicked you over the controls.
Good morning. Let's get my screen up here. So your code of conduct topic of the day kind of rolls really nicely into what we're talking about today, is lifting mechanics and how to lift properly. So lifting is a very loaded word. It means a lot, and it's been studied in a lot of different ways. So it means picking something up and putting it down. It means carrying something. It means pushing and pulling something, and it also means lifting overhead. Some of these things have been researched more than others. So we have some good numbers on some topics and not so good numbers in risk assessments on other topics. Lifting in itself carries a risk of injury. We know that. We have a risk of injury to mostly your back is the biggest risk for overuse injuries, from lifting little things improperly over a long period of time, from lifting one big thing improperly one time. So the goal is to reduce the risk of injury by carefully considering all the factors that are involved. And these considerations are our risks. We look at this through modifiable risks and non-modifiable risks. And then some of these topics fall a little bit in between and is really situation dependent. So our modifiable risks are how close load is to our body. We can always figure out a way to get that load closer to our body, which is a little bit safer. Having load farther away from your body is riskier. Lifting with twisting. This is probably one of the worst things for your back and one of the highest risk things for your back. So how do we avoid lifting and twisting? This is a modifiable risk. We could think about how we're setting ourselves up and avoid this. Our health, skills, stamina, and fitness level. These are all things we can modify. Can we become better at our lifting skills? Can we improve our fitness level? Can we improve our stamina and our overall health so we don't put ourselves at a higher risk? Of course. Our non-modifiable risks, our age, can't really change that much. The weight of the load, for most of the time, unless you're stacking things up, you can't really change that. And the size and the shape of the load. So we're not going to really pay too much attention to these things. And then there's the risks that are situation dependent and may be able to be changed in certain situations. The distance the load has to be carried or moved. Can we move, say, if you're unloading something off of a vehicle, move that vehicle closer to where it has to go. The initial height of the load and the vertical distance lifted. So are we lifting the load off the ground, which might be a little riskier, or is it going to be at maybe knee height, which might be a little bit easier? We're not lifting that load as far. The number and frequency of lifts performed. Can we take breaks so we're lifting a little bit less frequently? Can we work with a group of people so that some people do a little bit of work, others work, and we're taking breaks in between? That changes the number and frequency of lifts performed. The height the load is lifted to. So lifting to waist height is pretty safe. Shoulders gets a little bit riskier, and our riskiest height lifting is overhead. So anytime you're doing overhead lifting, that's probably the riskiest thing you're doing, along with that twisting and lifting combination. And can we adjust the surface that we're on? Is it slippery? Is it uneven? Are we trying to walk around obstacles that we can't see? You know, how can we change the surface to make it more safe for ourselves? So if we take a closer look at these risk factors, we want to take a look here at how close the load is to your body, the distance lifted, the height it's lifted to, and the weight of the object. I think I've shown this picture to you before. I think it's a really good all-in-one picture. So if you're lifting that 50-pound load and it's at waist height, that's a pretty safe place for you to be lifting and carrying. If that load goes further away from you, either in a vertical or horizontal position, it's less safe to lift that 50-pound load. And you can see here what the safe loads are when we start moving away from our body. And it gets pretty light pretty quickly. And if you see, lifting for all the way from the ground or lifting all the way up overhead are our danger zones. We try to not do that as much as possible. Again, in your line of work, we do this all the time. So the goal is to reduce that risk. Another risk factor that we talked about was your skills. Do you know how to lift properly? Have you been taught how to lift properly? Do you understand how to lift properly? And do you actually do it when you're in the field? So the incorrect lifting position is this person on the left, where they're bending from their waist, they're bending their back, and the weight is far away from their body. These are a couple big risk factors that we had just talked about. That puts your basket back at a huge risk. Person on the right, they're squatting and using their legs. Your legs are really, really strong. Utilize those guys. That weight is really close to their body when they're lifting up. So this is the proper lifting position. Again, we talked about lifting being a loaded question. There's lots of different things. Are you lifting and carrying now? Are you lifting and just putting it up right in front of you to a different level? All those things play into that risk. Then you guys have more job-specific skills. You guys aren't just picking up boxes like in a manufacturing plant where everything can be really customized to what you're doing to make it safer. You guys are picking up pieces of plywood. You guys are picking up pipes of lumber. You guys are picking up bags of concrete. You're picking up rebar. So do you know how to do that properly? There are better ways to do this to decrease your risk. So overall, the goal is you're going to be doing something a little risky. Let's minimize that risk. Lift properly, lift with your knees, keep a neutral spine. That means not overarching, over rounding your back or hyperextending your back. And engage those muscles. Your abs are there for a reason, your legs are there for a reason. Use those to help you lift. Avoid hyperextending your back, which means overarching your back. This tends to happen mostly with overhead reaching. All of you guys raise your arms up in front of you. How high do your arms go? Can you actually get your arms fully overhead without arching your back? Most people cannot do that. So what tends to happen is you arch your back to get that weight overhead, which again puts your back at risk. And avoid lifting and twisting. Like I said, this is probably one of the riskiest things that you can be doing. Think twice and lift once. Is there a better way to do this before you lift it? Keep that in the back of your mind. For those of you guys who do the same thing every day, maybe try to start your day with taking in what does your scene look like? Is there a better way to do what I'm doing to make this safer? Can you move the vehicle closer to where the object is going? Can you utilize multiple people when you're working? Can you utilize different equipment to help you lift? And then the last thing is prepare, train your body. Do you need to do a daily warm-up every day? Do you kind of wake up stiff and sore and just get out of bed, get in the car and go to work? Maybe that's not a good idea. Maybe you have to get up and spend 5 or 10 minutes to, do some basic stretching, basic mobility work, or some basic core activation. Or do you actually have to go to the gym if you're lifting heavy things all day and prepare for that? I know a lot of people that say, I have an active job, so, I work 12 hours a day. I don't need to go to the gym. But maybe you actually do need to go to the gym and do some of those Olympic style lifts of squatting, of deadlifting, of jerking and pressing, where you're pushing weight overhead to prepare your body and make it strong enough and healthy enough to do what you're asking your body to do. And that is it for me today. Thank you.
Thank you. Very informative. And again, if anyone has any little minor tweaks or little issues that they want kind of a second opinion on, the team over at PT360 does a free injury screen, no cost to the company, no cost to the employee, to just kind of quickly get any back issue looked at quickly and some good exercises that they can utilize. So it's a good little partnership that we have with them. So take advantage. And again, thanks, Amy, for joining us this morning.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Amy. Okay, I've got control of the screen, it looks like.
Take it away, Ken.
Okay, do you see my email of the week?
Yes, we do.
Okay, good. So for announcements, nothing except we're still in the 9-week holiday healthcare premium, and that continues until Friday, the June 11th. So that's kind of a great thing to look at your check and see it's not taken away. On the wellness program here, let me not show the next one. I don't want to ruin the surprise there below. The primary ECI primary care wellness program, I have a link to the document, and I highly encourage everybody to get involved and make an appointment and get a baseline physical, so that if anything comes up and they need any kind of treatment, there's the opportunity to just get quite a bit of treatment for free. There certainly are costs if it goes beyond a certain threshold, but there's a lot available for nothing, free to the employee, no deductibles, no premiums, no nothing like that. And I got a happy birthday wish to Scott Pigeon. So Scotty is turning whatever it is. You can do the calculation there on May 15th. That's Saturday, that's tomorrow. And this photo is one of my favorite photos. There's baby Scotty there in the middle, and he just returned from his baptism with myself and our father Alan. That was spring of 1963 in South Hero, Vermont. It's amazing how time flies. So happy birthday, Scotty. And then for another announcement, we have the Vermont National Guard, the Fallen Heroes Memorial. And as everyone probably is aware of, we've been working over at at Camp Johnson doing this work to relocate the Fallen Heroes Memorial from the inside of the compound to the outside of the compound. It's a project we worked from starting in late fall, and it's wrapping up pretty quickly here. We've also been invited to this ceremony shown on the card there, and it's a rededication of the memorial in addition to the Memorial Day observance. So that'll be held on Thursday, the 27th at 11 a.m. So if anyone's interested in attending, please let me know. I hope that we get an interest from people who worked on the project, especially if you're, say, a member of the Vermont National Guard or a veteran. So give me a buzz or shoot me a text or an email or something, or just stop in and we'll talk about getting you on the list here. I got 5 seats available, and then if we fill up the 5, we can still stand in the background. We don't have to have a seat. Another new announcement here is the night shift differential pay policy. This is something that maybe a little overdue. It's kind of a additional pay and recognition of working on a night shift, which is obviously very challenging for a lot of ways. It takes a lot away from the employee and their family and makes it harder to live everyday life. Certainly, we all recognize that and appreciate that when our guys work at night. So employees now who do work night will have a $2 an hour added to their current wage rate during an authorized night shift. So employees qualify for the night shift differential when their shift hours are predominantly between the hours of 9 p.m. and 6 a.m. And this adjusted hourly rate will be used to calculate overtime during the shift. So employees must submit their time using the night shift code to record the hours. And the shift is to be recorded on the ending day of the shift as a single day. So rather than break it up, if you're working Monday night into Tuesday, that you just do it one day rather than have two entries. So eliminate confusion from multi-day entries and allow the payroll system to automatically calculate overtime rates for that single shift. For example, an evening shift that starts at 8 p.m. on Monday and finishes at 6 a.m. on Tuesday would be charged as 10 hours of work performed on Tuesday, and then the employee would be paid 8 hours at their night shift rate and 2 hours at time and a half at the night shift rate. The employee would also indicate their start and stop time day on a note section of the time entry. It's important to keep track of when we're there on a job site. If something happens, we want to, and maybe there's a traffic accident out there and there, someone's wondering whether we were still on site or not. We want to be able to track and document that we were there or not there. So for new employees, we have 3 new employees here. We have Rick Richardson, Jason Pierce, and Ethan Bartlett. So welcome everybody, Rick, Jason, and Ethan, and welcome aboard. And I just ask everyone to kind of seek them out a little bit and introduce yourselves and make them feel at home, and offer yourself for some kind of input on any questions they have, if they have any. So welcome aboard, guys. For weather outlook, we've actually got some nice sunny weather here for the next few days with a little bit of potential showers late in the day, but it sounds like the real better, warmer weather with plenty of sun, hopefully, is here to stay for a while. COVID policies, like Matt said, we got some big changes coming here with this, the CDC saying that the mask will not be required for vaccinated people. So that is really going to change things a lot on the policies. We're waiting for the governor to acknowledge that and to make modifications on what the workplace protocols will be, but I expect there'll be some pretty cool changes. So with that, I'll turn it over to Joey, who's going to do the presentation on the Middlebury Tunnel.
Can you hear me okay?
We can. We got your screen too.
Thank you. And then just following up on the pay differential, right now in Foundation, that shift does exist. And if you don't see it, just give your Foundation a resync and then it should show up. So if you have any issues, definitely give me a call as usual. And any questions on the time entry and how to manage that, just give us a call. We'll help you through it.
And Joey, that'll be right in the shift box, which is, I don't know if you want to just show that quick.
I can. Can you see that?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Yep.
So yeah. So normal. This is a single time card, and this would apply to a grid time card as well. So down here in shift, 99% of the time we're on shift 1, which is default. And then for those of us who worked out of town, you know that there's a shift 2 out of town. And now we have a shift 3 night shift, which is kind of, goes along with the lingo of shift 3, third shift being a night shift. So that shift is now available. And that's all you need to do is just select that, and the system will take it from there. So just put your normal hours in, You don't need to do anything with overtime. Just put your normal hours in the way you would normally do it. Very similar to the way we take care of out-of-town shift in the past on jobs that were out-of-town jobs.
Thank you.
So any questions or any difficulties, or if you're having any troubleshooting, definitely just give us a call. So this week we're highlighting the VTrans Middlebury WCRS 23 tunnel project. This is probably the 4th or 5th time we've highlighted this job over the past several years, so it's been an ongoing effort. But currently ECI is subcontracted with Kubricki Construction to construct the cast-in-place cap walls for the U-shaped precast tunnel approach section. So there's the actual tunnel section of the Middlebury Tunnel, and then as you come out of the tunnel, you go through a series of U-walls, which is what these sections are, and we're pouring these caps on them right now. So the scope of work was added to ECI's previous work of utility relocation, temporary and permanent sheet piling, mass excavation, subgrade construction, concrete block retaining wall, and all associated track work, including the removal and the full replacement, among other items, as part of the greater Middlebury Tunnel project. The concrete cap walls extend approximately 800 linear feet on each side of the track and start right next to where ECI helped construct the tunnel launch shaft, which we used to install the deep drainage tunnels back in 2018, where we had the tunnel boring machine. So approximately 350 cubic yards of class PCS concrete will be placed as part of this added scope. And for those of you who've placed a lot of PCS concrete and some of these newer high performance mixes, can be very challenging. Very tight tolerance as well on the material and on the testing required. So our last major scope of work to be completed this season includes installation of approximately 2,100 linear feet of 12-inch under drain along the side of the U-walls. So that's out here in this picture. And then also about 375 linear feet of permanent steel sheeting on the south end of the project. And this season will conclude, if all goes well, this historic project, which ECI has been actively involved with since 2014 in the early planning and conceptualization stages. So exciting season. The project is really coming along nicely, and so we're proud of everybody. And I bet at this point, I'm sure most of the company has spent at least a day there at one point. So here's a photo of the guys setting panels along the wall. So we set up the old Volvo high rail log truck, which has had the mast removed on it, and we built a platform on there so the guys could conveniently access the wall from inside the track side, from within the U-wall. So that's been an invaluable tool there. And so obviously we can't brace the walls into the track side. Everything's got to get braced from outside, but we still need to work on the track side to access everything. So that's been a good tool. And then when the train comes through, we can clear up very quickly and safely. So here's some guys getting ready to prepping forms. There's another longer shot. So some of the heights vary. We've got some higher walls, we've got some shorter walls, mostly 4 and 6 foot panels being used. And you can see in here we got wet cure going on, so we owe it 7-day wet cure. So we've got soaker hoses running 24/7 to maintain that wet cure. There's another spot you can see work being done on both sides. So there's the actual tunnel section over here, and in this area here is where we started, and that's where that tunnel launch shaft was that we performed the micro tunneling out of a few years back. There's a good shot of a bunch of finished wall sections, so they're coming out well. So thanks to all the guys in the ground there, and good job to everybody involved in this project. And here's the big project overview. This has been an image that we've seen several times. It's been published in many many media organizations as well. So this is the entire length of the project. This is the rail bridge that crosses the Otter Creek, which we rehabbed a few years ago as well. And then from that point on, all of this track has been replaced with new continuously welded rail. And then the tunnel section itself is in this red area here. And so that runs below, Merchants Row and Main Street, which used to be bridges and are now basically at grade. And this whole park now there's an actual park here now where there used to just be a giant hole into the rail corridor. And so all the work we're performing right now on the concrete cap walls runs in this corridor here. Actually, sorry, it runs all the way up into here. And then actually right now over here is the new Middlebury rail platform for Amtrak. So that's being constructed by Kabricki now as well, just to make some other highlights there. And then from the archives, 2007 Bellows Fall Tunnel, and I'll let Ken talk to it more, but I believe we lowered this tunnel to allow for the higher, taller train cars, and that was quite the effort.
Correct. Yeah, you can see it looks like some fresher concrete at the bottom. That was some of the underpinning, and there was an underpinning system with piles and steel plates and everything that went in, and that was quite an interesting project as well. It's pretty cool. We've done several tunnel projects. This is a true tunnel project. The Middlebury Tunnel, true tunnel part of the project was really the micro tunneling. What the railroad tunnel is actually almost a box culvert, right? So pretty elaborate one, but a box culvert. So anyway, everyone have a safe day out there, and enjoy the pleasant weather. It looks like good production working weather. So let's get a lot done.
Yep, thanks, Ken, and thanks for the 62, 64 people that tuned in to us this morning. So please, if you did watch it with your fellow coworkers, just shoot me a message so I can establish a good attendance record for today's topic. Be safe today and enjoy it. Thank you.
See you later.